to ask.
I have a question I could ask. This is Paul.
Yes,
Um,
Paul.
regarding fear, um, in general, ideas about how to process it.
I mean, as far as, look, fear is telling you something about yourself. It has a twofold purpose. Fear is a warning that something dangerous might be about to take place and that you have to look out for yourself and be more conscious in the way you approach certain areas and situations in your life. Fear is also something which is so deeply ingrained in a human being that people are afraid to take a step forward. They're afraid to move on in their life. They're afraid of success. They're afraid of living in the world. They're hiding out in some kind of well conceived womb they built for themselves that protects them. It creates kind of a monster fear and a lot of insecurity inside people. And when you begin to touch upon that, it's telling you about yourself. Hey, I got to do something about myself. I can't continue living in some kind of womb that I'm weaving around myself that I think is protecting me against life. It's not. It's just creating insecurity. It's creating a weaker person. It's denying one the freedom to truly explore life and to truly open to all the benefits and, and put it into the sacredness of life and what it has to teach us all the time. So fear is twofold. Fear is like, one of these bells, buoys in the ocean telling you that if you come close there, you might hit a rock. It's warning you about things that go on in life that you have to be careful about. At the same time, it creates a web around people that keep them hiding out inside themselves. They're afraid. I mean, and the biggest fear is what? It's the fear of the unknown. So it's the fear of dying. And then we take that fear and it really manifests in everything we do in life because the biggest unknown really is life itself is as big of an unknown as death is. And we're afraid to take steps forward. We're afraid to take chances. We're afraid to live our lives creatively, and we hide out in ourselves in this kind of tapestry of fear that we create for ourselves. Now, if you want to have a spiritual life, look, one of the things you have to overcome is fear in yourself because a spiritual life will take you into the unknown. It'll take you into unexplored areas of the unconscious in yourself. It'll take you as far as you have to go in order to become an enlightened person. And being that most people function with maybe 5% of consciousness, there's a lot of fear there, that other 95%. And it keeps people from truly having a spiritual life. It keeps people living in that web of uncertainty, of fear, of insecurity. And I know even the Buddha has one of his mudras, which is overcoming fear. And I think this is an essential. And if you want a spiritual life, it's probably one of the most important things. And how do you do it? You got to get grounded inside. You got to get truly balanced with foundation. You have to build a really strong chakra system. A chakra system is not just a chart of energy centers that somebody drew and put on you know, chakra system is a living energy inside each and every one of us. And each area, whether it's below the navel, the foundation, whether it's in the heart, whether it's in third eye, in the mind, sex, each and every one of those areas have to be developed and used as a way to connect with God or higher energy in the universe. Meditation is about that. In the process of developing a chakra system, we begin to overcome fear and we begin to learn how to listen to it so that it enables us to function on a higher level in our lives. So fear isn't necessarily a negative thing, although when the emotions get involved and the mind gets involved, it's certainly a crippling thing. But if we get the ability to keep our minds quiet, our emotions quiet, and then we can use the fear as a guidepost, and it teaches us what we have to do to grow inside ourselves. In fact, I've learned in my life, nothing is negative. Everything is there as a teacher. Everything, and all the things that are condemned by, you should be a celibate, you should be this, you should be that. Every single aspect of life is there to teach us what we need to learn to work out our karma. And we have to embrace life as this extraordinary guru. And instead of living, cowering, and being frightened of it, we have to open our hearts and truly embrace the sacredness of whatever life has to teach us. And that will help people truly overcome fear. Not, being a celibate and doing this and following all these rules and regulations and, all this stuff that people put out as a way of supposedly having a spiritual life. The whole secret is getting stronger in ourselves so that we can embrace the totality of life and let it truly be the guru. And there's no more dogma and ritual and this. It's life teaching us every day, every moment, what we need to learn to grow. I mean, this to me is an extraordinary way to live. Somebody mute themselves if there are people talking in the background. Does anyone else have a question they would like? I hope that's clear, because I don't know how else to put it. I learned that from my teacher. He told me if anyone have asked you who the guru is, tell them it's life. And when I was younger, I'd look out at life and I'd see all this, my God, is this my teacher? And that as I grew in myself and developed a system inside that was strong enough to connect with higher energy, and yes, this is my teacher. This is the most extraordinary teacher in the universe. Life itself, it's sacred. And we're all given that sacred treasure. We're born to learn something, not how to hide from it, but to learn how to embrace it, open to it, have compassion for the sufferings of other people, have forgiveness for the things that the indiscretions that people do to us. And to understand that everything we witness is there to teach us something about ourselves. why we need to continue to grow inside ourselves. And in the process of doing that, we begin to diminish fear. We don't have to live with it. It doesn't have to protect us. But I remember what Rudy told me. Never forget that. Well, it was extraordinary. It took me many years to learn what that teaching was all about. I didn't get it right away. I had to grow up and I had to work on myself and build a system that enabled me to be capable of embracing life. It's not only death that's a mystery, life is probably a bigger mystery. And we're here to find out what that mystery has to teach us. And we don't find out by hiding from it. I mean, it's one of the reasons I stayed so many years in business, which I really don't do anymore. But I spent years doing that. And one of the reasons was that every day that I did it, it taught me something about me. The people I used to meet, the situations, the greed, the this, all the, you'll pardon my English, the shit that used to go on. I mean, it taught Stuart, you're attracting this because something in you is that way, and you got to get free of you. And the more I got free of me, the less those things seemed to happen. Does anyone else? Great question, Paul. I didn't expect to talk about this or this come out, but told you questions bring out kind of amazing. I mean, I even listen. I need to listen to the answers too. It's not me talking. This energy comes through and it talks. And it just makes me very humble. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask?
Stuart, I have a question.
Yes,
Uh,
Pat.
Um, would you talk about receiving communication from others?
Well, if you know better than anybody else, then you're never going to be able to communicate with them. It's that simple. You know, if you have all the answers in your head, no matter what people want to communicate, you're never going to be able to communicate with anybody. The only person you'll listen to is your own brain. And it makes it impossible to communicate. So know a little less and let what people have to talk to you about teach you something about yourself. And I think that's a great way to communicate. The best way to communicate is the ability to listen. And if you don't have the ability to listen, you'll never communicate with anyone. You will know better. You will be right. You will be, and you'll fill the room with you. And there'll be nobody there to listen to except yourself. A lot of people live that way. In fact, most people live that way. Either they fill the room with themselves or they cower in corners, you know? So I think communication is more about learning how to listen to life than knowing better than life. Learning how to listen to other people. And even if you think they're totally full of shit, it doesn't matter. Listen to them. Listen to them. Because mostly people have just tension. They just want to get their tension out. And one of the ways people get their tension out is, you know, they, it's like vomiting. So don't be intimidated by somebody else's nonsense. Just, all right, let them talk. I am stronger than that. I am more developed in myself. I have built a system inside that can deal with somebody else's tension. And I can listen to them. I can let them be. And generally, when they finish, something changes in them. Somebody listened to them. Because nobody listens to anybody else. You ever sit in a restaurant and you everybody's yakking away and nobody's listening to anybody else? It's unbelievable. So we need to learn to listen. And that's the best way to communicate with other people. And to let them be. And if they trespass, you tell them, stop trespassing. But you do it with love. You do it with compassion because they're just insecure, unhappy people. And you can truthfully say, hey, no, this has gone a little too far. But do it with not anger, not knowing, just hey, this has gone too far. I mean, I've told, in these classes a million stories about me having to relate to people that way. People, after they get rid of their tirade of emotions, fell into my arms and started crying and thanking me for listening to them. It was extraordinary. What a lesson. Just thanking me. Hey, thank you. And just listening. And we all are up against situations like this every day. And mostly because of the first question, people are afraid. Understand they have to protect themselves. In order to protect themselves, they have this codedness of rightness about them, where they are right, and that protects them. So you get bigger in the situation. You know how? By being less. Really, be less. You don't have to be right. I mean, look at all this crap that goes on with the world, all these right people that run countries. I mean, it's just unbelievable what goes on. They just listen to each other. Have a little humility and say, how can we work these things out without killing people? Does anyone else have a question? Okay, if there are no more questions, there'll be meditation on Tuesday. Thank you. God bless you all. Your presence here does nothing but really help me to grow in my own life. I really mean that. And I have nothing but ability and gratitude to each and every one of you for being here and for being part of this. And as I say all the time, I wish I could hug every one of you after this class. It would be something wonderful, but what to do? There are people here from all over America, Brazil, from Israel, from all over the place. So here's one big international hug, and God bless you all. And I'm looking forward to seeing everybody on Tuesday. Thank you.
Thank you, Stuart.
Thank you, Stuart.
Thank you, Stuart.
Bye.